The Colour of Magic and the Light fantastic. One novel in 2 parts, epic in scope and highly imaginative, however it does rely on more traditional fantasy tropes. The potential is obvious, but recurring characters aren't quite settled yet. Equal Rights. An interesting take on gender equality, coupled with the first indication that the Discworld is an actual functioning world. There's good interplay between Granny Weatherwax and the Arch-Chancellor, and it also features demons from the Dungeon Dimensions. Mort. Death's first starring role, and is worth reading just for the revelation that Death likes cats. A good entry, and accomplishes the amazing feat of making Death an interesting, sympathetic character. Sorcery. Rincewind battles a sorcerer. Despite a lot of good ideas, I found it a little hard going in places, although, as with all the others, there's always a sense that this is a working world, notable as being the last novel to feature a transitory Arch-Chancellor. Weird Sisters. Macbeth, but with laughs. The first appearance of the universe's favourite coven of Granny Weatherwax, Nanny Og, and Magret Garlic, this is an excellently put together novel with some truly funny cameos from Death. Pyramids. A Discworld-y take on ancient Egypt. It's great to see more of the world, and it's additionally interesting to see a new take on why the pyramids are. Also notable for featuring the greatest inhumation in history. Guards! Guards! The first appearance of the Ankh-Morpork City Watch. It features interesting revelations about million-to-one chances, as well as dozens of dragons. It also offers a very interesting theory about dragon flight. Eric. A short and sweet entry into the Discworld canon. It's a good piss take of Faust with Rincewind at the head. There are some genuinely hilarious set pieces and a brilliant glimpse as to what a true hell would be. Moving Pictures. The foundation of Hollywood, Discworld style. There's a great amount of imagination and a decent scope, and it also features the graduation of Pontus Stibbons. However, much like with Sorcery, I found this one a little hard going. Reaper Man. The auditors of reality show up and retire Death. This is an excellent novel with highlights including the wizards getting to blow stuff up, and Death displaying a greater deal of humanity than most of humanity. Witches Abroad. Musings on the power of story, coupled with the revelation that Granny Weatherwax is, in fact, a good witch, whether she wants to be or not. It's nice to see fairy tales get a bit of a bee sting for being the least best way to get a happy ending. Small Gods. An interesting take on faith and religion. It's nice to see religion from the perspective of a god. Some truly hilarious moments come from the great god, Holyhorn's Om. It also features a very neat take on the world is flat, world is round debate.
The turtle does move.
Lords and Ladies. A direct sequel to Witches Abroad, this tells the brutal truth about elves, and is about bloody time too. It flows beautifully and features the greatest coven doing what they do best. The added bonus comes from the day being saved by the Lanka Morris men. Men-at-Arms. The Ankh-Morpork City Watch take on a mad gunman. It's great for long-term readers as they get to see the odd-job troll detritus make something of himself, as well as the hilarity of Carrot trying to seduce Angua. Incidentally, this was the first Discworld novel I ever read. Soul Music. Probably the best plotted of all the novels, with Death, of all people, finding it hard to deal with loss. It's notable for having the first appearance of Susan, Death's granddaughter. There are some truly touching moments, and this adds a lot to a story that also charts the rise of rock and roll. Interesting Times. This is essentially Conan 3, but with Rincewind somewhere in the mix. It's great to see Conan the Barbarian invade the Agatean Empire with his Silver Horde, who provide the best laughs. I mean, quite frankly, what's not funny about a grumpy old barbarian warlord in a wheelchair? Masquerade. The Phantom of the Opera on Discworld. This gives the newest member of the Coven, Angus Nitt, a chance to shine. It features at least one really good gag courtesy of a word processor, and it's great to see the lives of the witches are moving on. Feet of Clay. The City Watch have to stop a mad murderer and an assassination attempt on Lord Vetinari. This is a solid entry that's notable for the first appearance of dwarf women. It also takes a very interesting look at the lives of golems. Hogfather. An interesting study on both the nature of reality and the spirit of Christmas. Although this is very seasonal, i.e. it's the Christmas special, it's definitely worth reading just to see Death take over as the Hogfather. Jingo. The Discworld is about to go to war for, well, no good reason really. Broadly a take on West versus Middle East, there are moments in the novel that are still very relevant today. Great insight into the mind of Captain Carrot though, even if some of the drama is a bit forced. The Last Continent. Rincewind ends up in 4X and it's up to him to make it rain. There's some good pissing about with the space-time continuum, and it's nice to see Rincewind back. It's also good to see the Australians getting a look in on the Discworld. Carpe Jugulum. Vampires invade Lanka and make the mistake of annoying Granny Weatherwax. There's a bit of a lampooning of goth culture, with young vampires wearing bright clothes and staying up till noon. There are some sparks of genius, but it's not the best entry. The Fifth Elephant. Vimes becomes the diplomat to Uberveld. It's always good to see depth added to the world, and this has the added bonus of a fascinating peek at dwarf culture. It's also fun to watch the watch disintegrate without Vimes or Carrot present. The Truth. This is probably my least favourite of all the novels. It takes a poke at journalism, which is always good to see, but it never clicks over into something great. Thief of Time. Essentially, Buddhist monks save the universe. There's a great intertwining plot, the auditors of reality finally get their asses handed to them, and there are some genuinely laugh-out-loud moments. Plus, Igors with lightning. The Last Hero. A fable as opposed to a novel, it's beautifully illustrated and features a wonderful blending of the City Watch and Rincewind as they race to save the world from annihilation. There are brilliant turns from the Silver Horde, and there's a good debate over who, in fact, is the last hero. Night Watch. Vimes gets blasted into the past and is caught up in the revolution. The build-up is brilliantly handled, and it's great to see so many well-known faces from Ankh-Morpork as they were 30 years younger. An excellent entry. Monstrous Regiment. Whilst Equal Rights was an interesting take on gender equality, Monstrous Regiment isn't. The potential is there, but much like the truth, things don't really click over into something interesting. Although there are some good moments, the appearance of Vimes and Angua near the end seems like a wasted opportunity. Going Postal. A con man is put in charge of the Ankh-Morpork Postal Service. Probably the funniest of all the novels, almost every page has a laugh-out-loud moment as Moist von Lipwig tries to get the service running. There is also some great references to the internet and hackers. Thud. A Discworld take on religious intolerance and the pointless hatred of extremists. Whilst more dramatic than humorous, the drama is handled very well, and when the issue of Coon Valley is finally put to rest, there's a great sense of history about it. Making money. Moist is back, this time in charge of the Royal Mint. Sadly, this is not a patron going Postal. There are some good moments and there are some interesting musings on the nature of money, but those expecting a laugh fest similar to Postal will be disappointed.